Welcome, everybody, to Sippin' and Shippin'. I'm your host, Brian Weinstein. We'll be kicking it here every other Friday, quenching your thirst for an insider's take to enhance your customer experience. So grab your drink of choice, kick back, it's Sippin' and Shippin' time. All right, welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sippin' and Shippin'. I'm your host, Brian Weinstein, and I'm here, as I am every other week, with Caitlin Postal.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm doing well, and we've got our guest today from Malomo, Noah Rahamzadeh. I said it wrong again, I believe.
You killed it. You killed it.
Yeah, all right, fantastic. I went into that with very little confidence, by the way. Awesome. Noah, I really appreciate you coming on this week, and we're looking forward to really having a good conversation today. But why don't you tee it up for everybody and give them a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming, Caitlin and Brian. So super stoked to finally be here. We've had to reschedule on each other a few times. So I feel like that's been balanced though. Like nobody's been, the aggressor in this situation.
As long as it's a seesaw, we're good. We're all good.
No, I think it was mostly me, but I appreciate you taking falling a little bit on your own sword for that. But no, I appreciate it.
Of course. So background, I actually really get excited telling this story because it's cool how everything sort of come full circle. So I started a health IT company out of college, co-founded it. Neither me nor my co-founder were technical in any way, so we had to go outsource development of our app and platform. And we landed on an agency called Sticks and Leaves who helped us with some not only like wireframing and mock-ups of what the app could look like, but also some like early market validation. They went on some sales calls with us. We were selling, just for a little bit of added context, basically like if you had a grandma in a nursing home, for example, you could download the safekeeping app and get daily updates on her health and lifestyle. So super timely, obviously, given everything that's happened in the last couple of years. And that business is still running today. My co-founder's still there, working hard every day, and obviously wish them nothing but the best. But long story short, I left that company after 3 years, did a few enterprise marketing technology gigs at Return Path, then Airship, which is a mobile messaging company, and last before Malomo was Movable Inc. Before I finally came to Malomo. And how this all ties together is the Malomo guys were running the dev shop that we worked with out of college and built our wireframes. So I've known them going all the way back.
Oh, that's awesome.
To Ball State and the startup that I ran. And they've, they tried to get me to come over when they first launched the company. They tried to get me to come over in between every job that I've had since leaving safekeeping. And finally, sort of the timing was really right, and we were able to make it happen about 8 months ago now. So pretty new to the e-commerce space. Like I said before, was enterprise MarTech, so we were working with like the United Healthcares and the Marriotts and the Deltas of the world. And now being in the Shopify ecosystem, it's definitely a change, but a lot of the same principles apply. And I think that it moves a lot faster. Like I consider e-commerce the wild, wild west compared to what I came from, which is much more structured and red tape. And I absolutely love it. Always knew that I wanted to get back to startup grind and couldn't imagine a better team, one that I know well, to sort of do that with, take that plunge with.
Yeah, it is a different world. So, we were acquired by Ryder, right? Whiplash was acquired by Ryder, and we're doing that. And Ryder plays in a much more big institutional type company world.
Right.
And I mean, they're fantastic. They've really connected with some fantastic partners, but the approach to the marketplace for the different aspects of the business, whether it's dedicated transportation or supply chain or whatever, is different than what we have, which we're targeting more of the entrepreneurs.
Right.
And so when you're coming out of a United, when you're dealing with the United Healthcares of the world versus where you are now, it's a much different environment.
It totally is. I'm curious. First question, I'm going to lob over to you.
Oh, jeez.
What would you say like some of the biggest differences are that you see on the logistics side Like from where you sit, what are some of the big differences between like an enterprise company and a SMB Shopify brand from a logistics standpoint?
You are flipping this podcast on its head right now.
I like it. Brian, go ahead, answer.
No, it's different. I think, from a rider's perspective, when you have these, significant enterprise customers, they come with significant procurement, logistics, supply chain teams. Whereas on our side, our customers are saying to us, hey, Rider e-commerce by Whiplash, we don't know what we don't know, and we would love for you to teach us and really almost act in a much more consultative way that I think is expected from a large enterprise brand.
Almost like acting as an agency or a consultant on top of the core service that you're providing, right?
Absolutely. Correct. Caitlin, you look like you want to add something to that.
No, I think it's just the more or less taking that, like being an extension of the business and like truly partnering versus, keeping those cards close to vest and thinking, think of it more as a transaction customer vendor relationship, which is something that we kind of touched on in our partnerships podcast as well. Just like treating the relationship a little bit different.
100%.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that internally, with the broader rider team. It's interesting because everybody gets it. Neither approach is right or wrong. It's right for the business that we're pursuing and the customers that we have. Serving. Exactly right.
Ding, ding, ding. In unison there.
We have a very similar approach, which kind of surprises me because when you think about like enterprise technology, it's like the other things that I've sold and worked with in the past on the enterprise side are far more complicated from a technical standpoint than Malomo is, frankly.
Yep.
However, the teams are so under-resourced that we're serving compared to the enterprise brands who, to your point, have full teams that can work inside these tools and spend time actually learning how to get the most out of them. That we are more hands-on now with a brand doing 4,000 orders a month than we were for Nike.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's doing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars a year. So I get that. It's an interesting dichotomy.
And I'm sure you guys also have your customer success team that really goes out and works on strategy.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. With the customers, because they need that. They need someone. They need us, and I'm sure it's the same way at Malomo, to be an extension of their company, as if there's nothing, there's no lines, everybody's enmeshed. And that's the way they're going to be successful. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Like the technology is only as good as it's implemented and then supported. And I think that's where a lot of Shopify apps fall flat, is like it really is just that, an app. And if it doesn't get supported properly from the get-go, brand's never going to get the true value out of it. So that's something we think about and talk about a lot internally and externally.
Yeah, and I think that seamlessness really feeds into the overall experience, or just like when we talk about the overall evolution of consumer behavior, right? Like there's always been, whether companies big, small, in between, even before people were wondering and repeatedly asking, where is my order? There's always been transactions, right? Way back in history. So what evolutions have you seen, going from that first someone chiseling a stone saying, hey, I didn't love our bartering of the celery for the carrots. Those carrots were shit. Now, what are you going to do about it? And then it went to a letter, someone writing a letter, and then picking up a phone. So now, of course, technology plays into this. What other evolutions are you seeing, Noah, on that side?
Oh, that's such an awesome question. And I love the framing of it too. So what's really interesting is, and this is part of the reason why I love to tell the story of how I got here to Malomo. Like I said, the Malomo founders, Yao and Anthony, were running an agency at the time. So on top of working with people like me who had app ideas and they're building out wireframes and MVPs for apps, they were also working with Shopify merchants. So they were a Shopify agency. And the problem that they initially encountered, that they solved ad hoc for a couple of their clients, was simply that the order tracking, transactional messaging and updates process was extremely antiquated, totally off brand. And not only that, it was resulting in significant customer churn. So the initial problem that they've set out, which has since obviously evolved into basically a new revenue channel, and I can get more into that in a little bit, is simply the idea that we need to provide a more proactive and branded experience in the post-purchase rather than sending that experience off of our site and out of our control, simply so we can retain these customers. Because what they found over time is like I think it's 84% of customers will not return after just one bad shipping experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And
We know that statistic all too well. Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's why, we're gearing up for a big partnership launch with you all, because we both are after that same goal of providing, seamless post-purchase experiences that surprise and delight customers. So that was the initial problem. And since then, Caitlin, to your point, it's evolved into, okay, now not only are we able to retain a ton more of these customers. For example, we reduced WISMO tickets by 50%. That's on average. Not only are we able to cut down on support tickets, retain more customers, we're actually able to use this new channel that once again used to go to FedEx or UPS and bring customers back to a site where we're able to grow LTV.
Hey, Noah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you just, for people who might not know what WISMO is, could you just explain that to them?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
They know it. They just don't know they know it.
Right, exactly.
WISMO, fun fact, this is in a blog that I'm writing for Whiplash right now, actually.
Nice.
I came across a stat. Gorgeous claims that WISMO is the number one question asked by customers to brands, and that is, where's my order? So if you think about it, there's a ton of customer anxiety around waiting for their package. It's not like shopping in the store where you pick something out. Everything is personalized and branded to you. You've got somebody talking to you through the whole sales process. On an online experience, everything might be personalized and everything's branded, and it does a great job of getting you excited. But as soon as you purchase something, normally brands are losing full control. There's very little, if not no, accurate communication. Everything is reactive rather than proactive, and it just causes a ton of anxiety, which is what goes into the concept that this is the number one question asked to e-commerce brands by customers.
Yeah, I would imagine, and not giving anything in the experience, and this is what we hear from our customers all the time, and it could be, lack of responsiveness from the CX team by the brand. It could be a shipping error. It could be losing visibility to tracking. Like all of those are severely impacting the experience, which 84% you said?
84%, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And that churn is like, that will make or break your brand. And like, so to go out to the opposite, what do you do different? Because you said anxiety, right? The second that you press purchase, you shouldn't have anxiety, you should have excitement. So what are these brands doing to create that and making me as a consumer say, anytime I'm shopping for that product, I'm coming back to you every time? Like whether because you created that experience where it's not anxiety ridden and I'm not in question, just wondering. And I think it's interesting to see, especially now with such social platforms, like how companies react. Like, I love that. Yeah. It's almost like grab your popcorn and see what witty thing they're going to say back, or not so witty, or like crash and burn, and you're like, what are you doing in the comments? Stop it. And I love that. I love having visibility into that, but it's so important to avoid that churn.
It totally is, yeah. And I think, to your point, Caitlin, it's the idea of brands interacting on social platforms is in a way very similar to what we're trying to do, which is like provide a more in-person like experience where, like I said, the shopper historically has picked something out in a store and carried it out, and there is no anxiety or friction in between the time that they purchase something and the time that it's in their possession. Today, obviously, that's very different with the rise of e-commerce. So what can we do to make the entire end-to-end, from the time somebody lands on the site to the time that package arrives at their door, and even after that, right, feel as though they had that humanistic, personalized experience that they would get in shopping in person? And I think that that's exacerbated by the fact that brands need to focus on that now more than ever, given that people are going back in person. So if you're an online retailer strictly, now you're competing again with with in-store shopping, and you really have to be intentional about making sure that customers get a similar experience as they would get in an in-person experience on your online store, not just up until the time they purchase, but up until that package arrives at their door.
Yeah, I think the number one goal of every brand needs to be not, well, obviously it's client acquisition, but the retention, that repeated sale to that customer is so significant in driving down your cost of acquisition. Your lifetime value is just, it's so important to a brand's ultimate success.
I think that I would maybe even push back on that.
Okay, go ahead.
And say that the only thing more important than the first purchase is the second.
Right.
And the reason for that is I'm giving away some stats that I use in the blog. But
okay.
The reason for that is in 2013, let me try to get this right. In 2013, the average e-commerce brand lost $9 per new customer order. So this is a brand new customer. I'm buying from a brand for the first time. A brand is losing on average $9 on me in 2013. Likely could get to, if they're not getting to first purchase profitable, which most weren't on average even back then, the second time I buy, in most cases, I'm profitable. In 2022, that cost has risen to $29. So brands are losing today 3.2 times more money on average for every new customer than they acquire. If you're not thinking about second purchase before you acquire, you're literally losing money, and you might as well not even acquire that first purchaser.
Wow.
It's a pretty staggering statistic. Over the same time period, repeat customers, average order of repeat purchasers has increased 36%. So profitability for repeat purchasers is up significantly, while first-time purchasers' profitability is down negative significantly more. So that's why I say the second purchase is just as, if not more, important than the first.
Yeah. It's interesting too, especially right now, we are heading into some headwinds for sure.
Absolutely. Oh,
right. So we're in a position where, hopefully, knock on wood, it will be shallow, but I think it seems like a recession is inevitable. And so that the marketing and the retention is going to be so critical.
Yeah, I mean, we were just coming up with a list of all of those headwinds beyond just like the overall recession, which I agree. Think about like iOS privacy changes, GDPR, increased competition. E-commerce is just exploding right now. What you guys know very well, supply chain disruptions.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, like I said earlier, I think too, a big factor is return of in-person shopping.
Yep.
So e-commerce brands are up against it right now. E-commerce tech and vendors are up against it right now. And what can we really do to, on the merchant side, like I said, surprise and delight and create cohesive end-to-end experiences for our customers. And on the vendor side, really make our merchants stick out from the pack.
Yeah, aside from just really delivering promises and making commitments that they can keep, what other tactics are you seeing from brands to drive that retention beyond thinking about the second purchase?
Well, we know because we often are pushing subscription signups in the post-purchase experience, because if you think about it, once a customer buys, they're likely pretty excited about your brand. If you can offer some sort of incentive to get them to subscribe to your subscription program, we know that's one of the number one things that you can do to increase retention and LTV over time. So we like to promote those and consult, like we've talked about, our brands to promote their subscription programs in the post-purchase experience. I would also say, like, taking subscription one step further. I'm an adamant believer that almost any e-commerce merchant can be a subscriber or a subscription program, can have some sort of subscription component to their business.
Right.
We've seen examples of, like, I think one of our agency partners, Brandon at Electric, was talking about one of his brands is like literally sells pools. And they came up with a model that's subscription, and I think it was like a clean your pool service or something like that. Similar for like a bed company. Like they figured out something that they could sell on subscription, some sort of consumable that they could sell on subscription. So I think that that's something that brands should absolutely consider. I think thinking about how you can turn retention into an acquisition channel is also super interesting. So another example there is,
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What's an example of that?
So let's say that I'm already a subscriber. Well, we don't want to, in the post-purchase experience, push me to subscribe. I'm already there. But we do know, since I'm a subscriber and I just purchased something, that I'm a loyal fan. So let's make sure that we're promoting our Refer a Friend program there, where now we're turning your loyal fans into your, active evangelists who are driving new customer acquisition.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense. And I think it goes back to another theme that typically comes up on our podcast, which is community, creating a sense of community, a place of existence, of being, inclusivity, to make people think about not just their pool, but now they want to check in with you once a month. Like if a pool company can do it, you can do it too. Like try it out.
100%.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Caitlin. I was just thinking, between community and really, it's the brand's obligation to figure out what else and what other ways they can touch and assist and support their community of buyers. The clients that they've acquired, what else can they do that's going to add value? I mean, we talked about it before, from our own perspective of our customers, right? How do we add value? But you're really, as a brand, you're doing the same thing. How can I be more valuable to my end consumer? And is it a subscription channel? Is it visibility post-purchase? What else can I offer there that's going to bring value to them to make them say, this is somewhere I have to be. This is where I have to shop, because there might be other things outside the shopping experience that are being communicated, whatever, that brings a value to that end consumer.
Yeah, I would put community up there, I think, with subscription in terms of one of the top things you can do to build LTV and Brian, to your point, bring value back to your customers beyond just the products that they're purchasing, right? Yeah. And again, I'm going to talk about post-purchase a lot because that's what we're focused on, but it's another great place to drive community-driven engagements and events, right? Because that this person is going to have a product that is often discussed and talked about and ideated on in your community or communities. So why not promote whatever community that you're building while a customer is waiting for their package, whether they're a first-time customer or a 100th time customer, right? They're going to want to be able to get the most out of the offering and the most bang for their buck for what they just purchased from you. And community is a great way to drive up the value that they get out of your brand overall.
Yeah, and I think as we continue to transition, and you've got a millennial group that comes in that's very, very tech savvy, but then you get a Gen Z that comes in that's very tech dependent.
Yeah.
Right. So everything revolves around the experience that they have online, and I think that holds very, very true to the brands that they're loyal to.
I love that saying. I'm not even a Gen Zer. I felt kind of attacked. I was like, ooh, tech dependent addicts. But you're right. Yeah. It's crazy. It really is wild. And from that, even from that time, and we know, right, we're in this space. We know when you press buy and they give you the tracking number, there's nothing behind that tracking number. Stop pressing it. Like, what are you doing? So, definitely not the way to become a brand ambassador, by checking in every 30 seconds.
Right. Exactly right. All right, Caitlin, did we miss anything? Because I think this has been fantastic.
No, this was great. Noah, thank you so much for joining us today.
I wanna call something out real quick. That I found. I don't know if this is going in the blog or not, but it's one of the reasons that I'm super excited about our partnership. Yep. We have some like data where we're able to aggregate what we see in certain cohorts of order tracking. So like from the time a customer purchases to the time it arrives at the door, where are the problems in the supply chain? Like, where are we seeing issues? So we pulled some data about Whiplash, our joint Whiplash customers compared to all of our customers, and the time and fulfillment. And the time and fulfillment for Whiplash was 2.2 times faster than the time and fulfillment for all of our other customers. So that is the reason that I'm super, super pumped about this partnership. There's no productized integration right off the bat, but the fact that we're just so hyper focused on providing these seamless post-purchase experiences it's a match made in heaven, I say.
Yeah, well. I know Caitlin and I are both laughing behind our microphones right now because we always talk about we don't include shameless plugs on the podcast. But since you said it about us, I don't think it counts as a plug.
I was literally thinking that. Like, I guess we're off the hook. He said it, not us.
He said it, not us.
I gotta hype you guys up. I really appreciate you all, and I'm super pumped to blow it out in 2023.
Yeah, no, we are as well. Appreciate it. Noah from Malomo, everybody. Caitlin, you want to take us out?
Sure. Thank you, Noah, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. Check us out in 2 weeks on your favorite podcast platform. We look forward to seeing you back. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace. Thanks.
All right.